Hello everyone, Dan 14th Prime here. I want to do a little tutorial video here on how to light your Detolf cabinets up. I have this little cubby area where I have a few Ikea cabinets here, kind of bookended by Detolfs. The left one there you can see is lit up with the Dioder lights on the kind of top of each shelf there. The one on the right you can see obviously is not yet lit, so that's the one we're going to work at. Let me just hit the lights here and give you a better look at what a difference this makes. Obviously looking much better on the left there. We want the right to look the same. But let me just jump in here on this left cabinet and give you a quick overview of what this looks like when it's done and generally how to go about it. So this cabinet is left-hand wall positioned, let's say. So I build it so the door swings towards the wall. And generally I want to hide everything along the wall side in terms of, wires and things like that. So if we come down to the bottom here, you can see I've got the hole in the back left-hand side drilled back there, and I'm running all the wires through a little hole here, and they all go up the back left side of the cabinet, and they're all, zip tied together. And then here you can see we need to bring a light out, so we shoot a wire out, zip tied on there, and then into the light. And I've got the light with a black finish, which I use electrical tape to do that with, and I'll show you that. And then I'm using the double-sided tape there. You could probably make that look better even if you use like a black double-sided tape. And we go up here, just bring the next wire up, feed it back out through. Again, you're zip tying along the way into the light, and again, the black finish. You can see where I'm placing some of the zip ties. I've got black ones. You might even be able to make that better if you used clear. And then up to the next shelf, you bring both the wires to the corner and then bring them both forward. Again, a few zip ties, and same situation where you feed out to your Dioder light there. And then you bring this one up the front of the cabinet, because then you have to go to the top where you have the wood lid, and you're fastening that light up there using the included brackets that come with the Dioder kit. And those just need to screw into the wood top there. That's kind of the process in a nutshell. We'll walk through it, and I'll show you a bit of the details on wiring the shelf. There you can see I've got a background that I printed up for that first kit. Backgrounds do help mitigate some of the glare that you might otherwise see there on the shelves, so I am looking at exploring more backgrounds. And then also here I've got the switch. I kind of feed it out and around. Nice cord management, and I just leave the switch out there to the side so it's nice and accessible. Okay, so that's the overview. Let's kind of walk through how we do this. Just really quickly here, the first thing to think about when you're going to light a Detolf is how it kind of fits into your room layout and situation. This has the right-hand side to the wall, so I've got the Detolf built to, again, open towards the wall. I think that's generally the best way to kind of keep the space open. And I'm going to use that back right-hand side to run the wires. So here's most everything that you'll need to get this job done. Of course, you need your Ikea Dioder, whatever it is, kit. You got that. You got your zip ties here. I've got 4-inch zip ties, black. Again, clear, might be better. Get some cutters there, some electrical tape for the finish. I've got this little drill here. Check this out on my Amazon page. Pick this thing up, super handy. I've got a wood bore on there, so you want to pick that accessory up. We're going to use that to drill through the Detolf. And then just really any straight edge here will probably do the job. Okay, so first thing we want to do is bore our hole through the bottom of the Detolf there. I'm using that book because there's a footer on the bottom. So if you drill too close to the corner, you'll obviously hit that plastic footer and you can't go through. So that book will just provide you some spacing. It lets you know where the foot is. You can use anything, and it's also going to help me not damage my floor if I were to go through too far. So then we just get our handy dandy drill, and again, I've got that up on my Amazon page. Check the link in the description below. Again, super handy cordless drill for all kinds of just simple attachments. So I've been using this a ton around the house. So check that thing out. And you don't need to be anywhere perfect, but as long as you're sort of on that book area, so you've got you're not going to hit the footer, you'll be fine. So bore your hole there. I think I've got about a 1/4 inch bore head. It's the biggest one in the accessory kit, which I'll link as well. So let's get this done. Of course, after you bore the hole, you're going to have dust in there, sawdust. So get your handy vac, sweep all that all up. I've got this off Amazon as well, so if you're interested in a handy vac and you need something like this, check that out on my Amazon page. I'll link it below, actually. We'll sell everything here on Dana 14th Prime. We sell anything. Give me a tank, I'll sell the freaking tank. Comment below if you remember where that one's from. Okay, next up here, let's grab the light kit. Get this bad boy opened up. We just want to kind of sort out the parts here. You'll have cords that run to the lights. You'll have cords that run to the power source. And you'll have, of course, the lights themselves. And then a bunch of accessories in this bag here. Some mounts, some finishing edges for the lights, which is what I'm looking for here. You want to get those little plastic finishing edges, push them into the end of the lights. Okay, next we just want to sort of prep the flow of the cord. So we want to go back to our Detolf, go to where our hole is, get the, the long power cords that are the link between the light itself and the power source. And we're going to want to just start to feed all these through. You can use the skinny end to fit through that hole actually, and just feed it down and through. So let's kind of get all these threaded, just so we're at least through the bottom. There's one. Here's the next one here. You will notice these get progressively tighter, obviously, as you start to fill up that kind of 1/4 inch hole. But it's not too bad. I think it all fits and it's nice and clean. So I think it's the right size hole to use. Then we've got cord number 3 here. Again, down through the hole and out. And just pull it through like floss. Gets tougher each time. Gets tougher. There we go. And then of course the 4th one here, which you'll probably have to fuss with the most, but it will fit. But just get that threaded and it will be all set to get working. And there that one goes. Okay, now we're all set up. Okay, so next up we just want to make sure we remove all the rubber stoppers here, which the glass panels sit on, because that's where we're going to be running some wires. So take all of those off of this side. Okay, in terms of running our wires, the first thing we want to do is take one all the way up to the top corner, right hand corner there, take our zip tie and just anchor that up there. That is going to be the feed for the light that gets mounted on the wood top of the Detolf. So we just want to get that zip tied up there, and that's kind of our starting place. In terms of length out to the light, I leave about half of a thumb probably, so I don't know, it's maybe an 1.5 inches, something like that, to feed into the light. Then I'm just going to tidy it up by putting another zip tie about halfway down that pull there. And then finally 1/3 as well at the bottom of that pull. We've got that vertical wire there tied down in 3 different spots going up to the wood top. For the next shelf, grab your next wire. We're going to run that here along this horizontal wire bar. And I come about 2 inches from the front, because that's about where you want to be to set the deodor light. And we want to tie both of those cords together there. So notice it's one zip tie. I'm grabbing where you're running 2 cords here along this horizontal bar. The one I'm feeding now, and then the one that I fed to the light above it. And if I haven't mentioned before as well, make sure you're kind of putting these on the back side of the wire. You don't want them inside, because then they just show up more. So you kind of feed things around the back, like between the wire frame and the glass. And again, we're going to want to put 3 zip ties here, kind of front, middle, and then back corner as well. And here goes that 3rd back corner zip tie. Again, both of those cords together. A bit difficult to see what I'm doing here, but for those 2 cords, you can just kind of pull them down, pull them out the back of the Detolf and just pull the slack taut and run them, along the length of that back wire vertically. So you're just kind of cleaning things up here and getting it set up. Okay, so 3rd light here. 3rd shelf. So again, feed it around the back of the wire frame. And we just want to pull that forward like so. And again, leave your about 2 inches from the front is where you want to kind of lock down your first zip tie. So we'll close the zip tie up there. Here in the middle. And then again at the back corner. And what I do vertically between all the shelves, just below each crossbar, is I grab all the cords that need to come down from above. So I've got 3 cords here now. And right at that crossbar top corner, vertical bar, I put a zip tie across all 3 of those cords right there. And then here, same as before, I'm just going to pull the slack away just to get it taut. Get that stuff kind of set up behind the wire bar. Then here we have our last wire, again fed behind the wire bar, and just pull that forward. And again, about 2 inches from the front here, we put our first zip tie. Another one here in the middle to keep things nice and clean. And then same as before, the third one goes nice and tight in the back corner. And then again, as I've done at each shelf above, the vertical cleanup goes right below the crossbar there. So I grab all 4 of these now and put a zip tie around them just below that wire bar. Now we really have to do our final wire cleanup. So all of that pulling them taut along the way, this is really the one to count. Pull them taut, but you want a nice, sharp, flat, 90-degree angle where the cord will go across the wood and to the wire pull there, vertical. So see how I push that down, get a zip tie. You want to get all 4 of those around the wires and the zip tie. So that's what that looks like when it's nice and clean. So next, the lights. I'm going to save the top light that goes into the wood for last. For the other 3 lights, you just grab them. They plug right in to the cord there. You put the finish on the other side of the light, so you're good to go. Simple like that. You can see it's got that ugly green electronic back to it. That's where I use the electrical tape to put a nice black finish on it. So it's nothing difficult. You just pull a nice long piece of black electrical tape here. The length of the whole backside. Now again, on that backside, you've got the light, and then you've got a little bit of connector nub. I cover the whole thing black, so it all finishes. This is where maybe you could use double-sided black tape or something else. I don't know. This is just kind of the stuff I have handy. But just line up one side nice and clean all the way down so you get a nice edge against the light using a nice edge of the tape. There we go. Push that nice and tight. And then for the, it's going to be wider than the light, but it's not hard to trim. You can use scissors to trim it. You don't need to use X-Acto knife or anything that might be more difficult. Just kind of trim along nice and tight to that plastic edge of the light. And I think you get a good enough finish, and then the light kind of naturally has some edges on it, so it kind of folds up and gives you a nice clean look. Just get that all nice and tight there on your edge. And again, I think it finishes pretty well. So do this for your other lights in each shelf below, just to get that nice black finish. Then to mount to the wood top, you'll need these brackets, which are included in your light set. In terms of centering the light itself is about 10 inches. And you want to exclude the nub because you want to center the light, not the whole device there, because the nub doesn't light. The Detolf is about 15 inches across, so you want about 2.5 inches on each side. So here's what this looks like. Again, light 2.5 inches from the edge, 2 inches deep from the edge. That's where I want the light. So then if I grab the bracket, let's see, I want to be about 4 inches, like I said, inside for the bracket placement. So I'll just grab that. Assume that needs to go right there where the light is. Just do a quick little switcheroo sleight of hand there. And I know that's where I want the bracket to go. Then just grab your little drill, hit the hole there. And this is where you'll want probably like a 1/16 drill bit actually. So you'll need that as well. Basically as small as you can go. And you don't really want to drill that deep because the screws in this set, as you'll see, are super tiny. I mean, are they even a 1/4 inch deep? So you just want to get a bit of a hole there. The vacuum makes a comeback. Link in the description below. You got dust, you got to sweep it. Selling vacuums today. Then I'm going to go ahead and just affix this bracket. Actually screw that one in. The next up, just use your straight edge to make sure you're going to have a level second bracket. Of course, you could use a leveling here as well, which might be helpful. But I'm basically just using a straight edge and making sure I'm about equally deep in terms of how much of the wood frame is showing outside of the straight edge there. And that's how I'm going to line up my next bracket. And again, you want to be about 4 inches from the outside. Just grab your drill. You can just drill right through the single hole in there with your 1/16 inch bit. And again, just don't go too deep because it's a short screw. Then of course, go ahead and screw that bracket in as well. Next here we want to set the light. You go in at like a 45-degree angle, push back into the bracket, and then just kind of snap it in. And again, you want to make sure you have it centered so each edge is about 2.5 inches from the edge of the Detolf. There we go, we get that snapped in. At this point, now you've got everything in place. Make sure all your wires are nice and tight through all your zip ties and everything looks nice and clean. You might tweak a bit depending again on the depth there on the very front. So I don't like to clip anything off or really go final with the wires until every light is in, but you should be 90% of the way there by now. Of course here, put all your kind of rubber stoppers for your glass plates, 2 on each bar on all these right-hand sides. Of course, put your glass plates back in here. For all the lights that need to affix to the glass, of course, we're going to use our double-sided sticky tape, which again is in the kit. This is an area where maybe you could find some black or something a bit better to finish even nicer. Again, I'm using what I have, but it does sort of ruin the black finish a little bit here. But again, affix that in, and I put it again where the light is, so I don't go onto the nub plug. So keep it on the light fixture itself in case you ever want to pull that off. In terms of depth, I go about 1 inch deep off the glass. It sits in closer than the wood top. So the wood top we had to go 2 inches in because the lip sticks out further. On the glass, you just go about 1 inch deep. You'll wish you had a third hand here. The sticky tape, it likes to stick. Want to make sure you keep it straight, but just keep working at it there. Don't push the sticky tape down hard until you know it's there and you're nice and straight with the edge at 1 inch deep. And then you can go ahead and kind of stick everything down nice and tight. Home stretch here, after you finish the rest of the lights inside, you're back outside the Detolf, plugging in the ends of the cords into this kind of connector here. All 4 plug into here. Then the power plug plugs into that connector as well. And then here you've got yet another end on this plug, which goes into like the outlet plug. So that plugs into there as well. Get your lights all set up. You can reuse those white ties to get your cords all nice and tidy. And what this is going to enable you to do is slide all this underneath the Detolf when you push it back into the corner or against the wall. Then this is what we get when it's back in the corner. Everything's on and in place. Looking good. Again, I've got the long shelf there for my statue that I had there. Everything's underneath it, you can see, so no wires in the back. I just have the power cord going across to my power strip. And I've placed the switch there on the inside front edge. Now finally that everything's done, we can snip all the excess off of the zip ties. Alright guys, thanks for checking out the video. Hope it was helpful. I'll see you next time.